Hello, friends. Welcome once again to Khatti meethi Baate with Shivani, live from UK on Facebook and YouTube. How are you all? I'm sure everyone's doing well. Sunshine here in UK. I would like to start by telling you about a proverb. Never judge a book by its cover. You may wonder why I thought of using this proverb in my show. Is it necessary to start the show with a serious note? No, no. I don't want to get emotional or bring tears in your eyes, but I want to reflect that there are many in this world that may not impress you by their appearance. But when you have a conversation or get into the depth of their life, you realize that you might have a wrong perception about them. They may be very articulate with their speech and language and may be fantastic orators. But what about the ones who struggle even to do that? Who will help them to build their confidence and train them to walk shoulder to shoulder in this rat race of the society that deprive them because they stammer or they are shy, they cannot speak like most of us? I have a very, very special guest today here on my show, and she has committed herself. She has qualified herself as a speech and language therapist. And besides that, to balance her life and sanity, she is a poet, classical dancer, and a spiritualist. Please welcome Shonali Dutta on my show. Shonali, how are you? Kaminacho. Welcome, and my privilege to have you on Khatti meethi Baate with Shivani.
Thank you, Shivani. আমি ভালো আছি, খুব ভালো আছি. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show. It's an absolute honor to be on your show. And I'm sure I'm really going to enjoy talking to you today.
Me too. Me too. So, Shonali, we have been friends for quite a few years. And as I keep meeting you more and more, I get to know that you often talk about the mountains, the valleys. Tell me more about your relationship with the mountains. What inspires you? Why do you keep talking about it?
Well, you see, Shivani, my relationship with the mountains and nature goes way back to my childhood, to my birthplace, Shillong, which is in the northeast of India. People in India must, I'm sure you know of. I was born and brought up in Shillong, and as everyone knows, Shillong is a beautiful, beautiful hill station. And for those who don't know, it's also called the Scotland of the East. So Shillong is endowed with so much of natural beauty, with hills and trees all around. And I grew up in a house where we were surrounded by hills, trees, streams. So we were in a valley, beautiful valley. And right down from the slope from my house, there was a stream. And me and my brothers, for us, the outside was our playground. So we used to go outdoors to the hills, the forests, the streams, and we would explore. So that was our world. And I also remember we would go down to the streams to catch tadpoles, get the tadpoles in a jar, bring it home, dig a hole, fill it up with water, and release the tadpoles there. Play for some times, again, pick the tadpoles up in a jar and release them in the stream. So that was my interaction with nature while I was growing up in India. And also about 10 minutes walking distance from our house, we had a waterfall. So we would go there and spend our time, our afternoons after school over there without without telling our parents. So the thing is that we never had we never had proper footwear. So we never had kind of trainers to go to wear and explore our beautiful place. We always wore flip-flops. So all those things, that has remained so much ingrained in my memory. And I really think that it's a privilege to me now, when I look back upon those memories, that it was a privilege to me that I interacted so closely with nature. And I'm really thankful for that time, for those experiences, because it's still so rich in my memory. And I carry within me, till date, those memories.
And we've got something that we can see about this short clip that my viewers can see about this beautiful place. Let's have a look. Well, um, maybe we'll play it a bit later. You know, Shonali, whatever you've told me, I feel like it's such a vivid memory in you, ingrained totally into you. And I had the privilege to go to Shillong twice, and to be
Hmm.
honest, as a kid, I myself wanted to write. I wrote a small script for the magazine and I called it the Switzerland of India. It's so beautiful, and I think people should have the privilege to see such a beautiful place. Some nice clips of you up there, and you have done such beautiful things, Shanali, and it's amazing. Um,
Yeah, it's really with
and that is,
gratitude that I think about those times, and it was
yeah,
because of my experience that my trust with nature blossomed, actually.
how beautiful, how beautiful. That's your childhood, I can see in Shillong. And I'm sure people who have never been to this beautiful place should explore it once, because I also remember something, Shonali. When I look at those pictures, it's not never been easy. Such beautiful places are always having a conflict. There has been exploiting. And I remember you mentioning about this social conflicts between the tribals and the non tribals, where you were growing up in Shillong and you were going to college at that time. Do you want to throw some highlight about it? Because I'm not aware much about this thing.
Yes, there was tension between the tribals and non-tribals, the locals and the non-locals. It was during the time when I was in school and college, and unfortunately, it continues till date. Yeah, unfortunately, that's human nature, isn't it? And human nature can sometimes be narrow and ugly. And yes, those are not nice memories. It is sad that it still continues to the present day. And I hope someday that it gets resolved, and all communities can stay in harmony in that beautiful, beautiful place.
I mean, I wish so too. I just wish we live in a society where there is so much of peace. We anyway going through so much of turmoil that we don't want this added burden in our life. But yes, all we can do is pray about it. But Shanali, you know you're on my show on a very, very noble cause that you're doing, and I want to know more about it. I had friends and I had people who had sent me Twitter messages saying that as a special needs teacher myself, and I'm dealing with situations that I'm not having expertise, knowledge about it. I just want to know what inspired you to be a speech and language therapist.
What inspired me? Well, when I was in India, I worked as a developmental therapist for children. So, developmental therapist is about giving a developmental therapy to children with neurological conditions. And I worked in a special school in that capacity. So, whilst I was working, and also when I was training to be a developmental therapist, I came across speech and language therapists, and that area of work really fascinated me, because speech and language therapy is all about helping people with communication difficulties. And communication, as everyone is aware of, is such a is something which we human beings, uh, as in speech and language therapy, with the use of speech and language, we human beings are communicating. So it is something which is very unique to us, to our species. And if I can help people communicate, um, and improve on their communication, I mean, I would feel very privileged. So I would always think of it as a very niche area to work. And when I came to UK, And after a long time, when I thought of going back to work, the only thing which actually rang a bell in my mind was my past experience with a speech and language therapist. And so I actually explored that, and I went on to become a qualified speech and language therapy here. I went and did a master's course in UCL and became a speech and language therapist.
Fabulous. Amazing. What a noble profession. So, as you have already highlighted a bit about it, so what exactly a speech and language therapist do? I'm not aware of that yet.
Yes, so as the name itself suggests, it's about helping people with communication difficulties. They can be children, they can be adults, and whether it is speech or whether it is language, anything which impacts communication, those conditions come under speech and language therapy.
Wow. And in what setting do you find speech and language therapists? Where do you find them? I'm aware that I have seen them in hospitals. Is there any other place? And as a teacher, yes, we have them coming, but I have not actually dealt with them knowing what they're doing. So, what sort of setting, Shonali?
We work across a variety of settings. So, as I would like to talk you through the conditions which we see. Conditions can be developmental, can be congenital, can be acquired. So, congenital conditions like autism, developmental conditions like developmental language disorders, developmental verbal dyspraxia of speech is there. Then there are phonological disorders, learning disability. Then there are some conditions which causes communication difficulties, such as a result of brain injuries, such as meningitis, traumatic brain injury, childhood stroke. For adults, there are so many conditions which impact communication. It could be stroke, dementia, Parkinson's disease, throat or oral cancer, brain tumor, and many more. Then we have stammering, voice disorders, which impact adults and children. And then there are mental health related conditions as well. So people with social, emotional mental health needs, behavior difficulties like, and also attention difficulties like ADHD. Then selective mutism is there. So everything comes under, all these conditions come under the remit of speech and language therapy. And people may not know this, or they may not be aware of this, that speech and language therapy also treats swallowing disorders. So it's not only about communication that we treat, we also treat people having swallowing disorders which are related to eating and drinking. So yeah, speech and language therapy is a very less known profession, but it's slowly gaining popularity and people are being aware of it. And I think we as a profession, we've not been very forthright in spreading awareness about our own profession. But currently, I think it's gaining popularity, and I'm also doing a regular live program in my language, Bangla, where I'm trying to spread awareness about speech and language therapy in our community. It's on a Bangladesh channel, and I'm so thankful to them to have given me this platform to spread the word.
Question for you. She says, do you help dealing with stammering as well?
Yes, we do. We do help children and adults alike with stammering. And I see many people, children and adults who have stammering. And yes, so the answer is yes, we do help people who have stammering difficulties.
So, how far you think, if you had someone with acute stammering, I know someone, but his parents have been to so many places to try and help him out. So, what percentage do you think they would work out, or would it even sometimes 100% they can speak like a normal person?
Yes, I know people do want to know whether it's curable or not. How much will they improve? How much will they go forward with the therapy? How much they are going to improve? So my answer to that would be every individual is different. the way people improve is very unique to that individual. So it's very hard as a professional to say whether they're going to improve 70% or 80% or 90%. It's only when we work with a client, with a person, that we can assess assess the severity of the problem, and then have ongoing therapy. And only it's a stage by stage process. The process unfolds as we go through the stages. And I wouldn't like to portray a very an image that stammering can be cured. Sometimes we give strategies for people to improve on their stammering, to improve on their speech, but it may not always be fully curable.
That's very, very informative. So I believe you work with all categories of people. Like, do you work with children or adult? Because Kavita has got she's got a message here saying that pronunciation, no stammering but difficulty is using difficult words. And she also wants to know that what different specification of disabilities.
So the first question is, if you can repeat the question, Shibani, to me.
It's pronunciation. So she says, no stammering, but difficulties in using difficult words.
Yes. So is it about a child or an adult? So if it is about a child, yes. If it is a speech difficulty, difficulty in articulation, in pronouncing a certain sound or a few sounds, we definitely give therapy in those conditions as well. And there is children go through a huge improvement after getting therapy in speech, definitely. And the same goes for adults as well. For example, if after stroke a person is having speech disorders, they do improve with therapy. Yes.
Right, and she also wants to.
The extent of improvement is subjective. It is like in every individual they have their own rate of improvement.
So what about an adult?
Adult. So is it related to any
stammering? Yeah.
Related to stammering?
And difficult words, like pronunciating, when they want to pronounce a difficult word.
I would like to know if the person has any predisposing condition like a stroke, or is it related to any condition? Or if it is not related to any condition, if it is only about the speech or the speech sounds, then of course we have to assess the person first and see what kind of condition it is related to. If it is not related to a condition, then I would say with therapy, definitely you can see what is causing it, where the problem is, in what kind of words they're finding difficulty, and we can always know how we can and have targets.
How beautifully explained, Shonali. I'm going to go a little lighter on this because I think it's too much to take in, but it is so informative. So, what do you like the most about your work?
What do I like most about my work? Well, everything really. The fact that I'm able to offer help to those who have difficulties communicating. Human beings, as I said, are the only species on earth who sophisticated speech and language skills to communicate. And without this ability, we would just be like any other species on earth. And when this ability to communicate gets compromised, when we are not able to express our needs, wants, thoughts, emotions, likes, dislikes effectively, you can imagine the impact it can have on the quality of our life. We lose control of our lives and we become frustrated, feel helpless, powerless, we can get angry, and we essentially lose our meaningful existence. So when I help people gain some control over their lives by helping them communicate, by treating them, by restructuring their environment, educating the people around them, and minimizing the barriers which they have in communication, and giving them their power back, helping them reach their maximum potential. That itself gives me a lot of fulfillment and satisfaction. The other thing which I would like to mention is, which I love about my work, is liaising with the parents, the carers, the family members, teachers, all the other professionals who are part of that person's life. So so yeah, all that really is enriching to myself as a professional, and I do look forward to my work every day. I wake up.
Shonali, I am smiling. My smile's getting wider because we have Suresh Menon. He just said that my wife makes him stammer. His wife makes him stammer a lot. Suresh, I must tell you, every woman make a man stammer, and that's the best thing is that don't speak when your wife speaks. And but on a serious note, he also says he loves this topic we are covering. So thank you, Suresh. Thank you very much. You just brought a smile on my face. Shonali, I also wanted to know that what kind of approach do you use in your work with your client?
Shibani, I always try to use a holistic approach in my treatment. I do not look at the impairment in isolation. So we always have to keep the bigger picture in mind in our practice. Is my therapy helping my client gain skills or do something meaningful in their life? Is there anything in their life apart from speech and language needs which is impacting their communication or their ability to engage? So if I'm treating a person with stammering, what is the thought process going on there? What is are there any self-esteem issues? So unless I incorporate those things in my therapy is not going to be successful. So if I'm treating a boy with autism, for example, giving him therapy in how to express his emotions, but is he able to use social media to understand when his friends use sarcasm or use sarcastic phrases? So is he sleeping well? So you can see, Shibani, everything in our life is interconnected, and one thing impacts the other. My mental health can impact my voice. My anxiety can impact my social communication. And so in my practice, I always try and keep that understanding bigger picture. And also, one thing I would like to add here, Shivani, is when I use the term treat, it does not mean cure. So it means any treatment which assists in alleviating the barriers, which help him or her improve, even if the improvement is a tiny little step. It is still a step forward than what it used to be. So some of the conditions which we treat do not have a cure, but it does not mean that we do not treat them. It does not mean that we do not give them help. So there are so many things we can do, even within those parameters. For example, a child, again, I'll cite an example of autism. So we cannot take the autism away. Yeah. So, but what we can do for the child is give them support to help them express themselves, help them understand their environment. Or if a child is non-verbal, we give them an aid which will which will help them express themselves or help them make a request or express a need. So, this is what when we use the term treatment, this is what we mean. We mean giving therapy, giving help, and all the kind of support which we can.
Speak to that level. I have Kavita. She's got a question. She says, please, can you suggest a course for an adult who wants to be like you as a speech and language therapist? What is the procedure if in UK or Europe, anywhere? They want to know how you qualified or what channel they can take if they want to be one of them.
Yeah. Speech and language therapy is a professional course, and it is offered here all across UK, in many universities across UK. So there are degree level courses, there are master's level courses. Degree level now, I think, is 3 years course. Master's level is 2 years course. So yeah, what you do is before you apply for speech and language therapy, they need to see that you have some professional experience in this field. It can be a voluntary role, it can be a paid role, but you need some level of professional experience in a related field. Yeah, you apply to the universities with your qualifications, and you'll be asked to come in for an interview. So you go in for an interview. If you qualify there, they will you'll be in it, really.
Help individuals. Like, I know you work for NHS, you work for an institute, but if anyone wants to come privately to you, do you help them as well?
Yes, I do. Yes.
That's nice. So if anybody wants to contact you, they know that they can come to you. Kavita also says, in my family, my cousin stammered too much, but as he grew up, it went on reducing. She wants to know why. He has only 20% now. However, she wonders how is that possible?
I would say sometimes stammering can be environmentally induced as well. It's maybe as he grew, got the coping mechanism, the strategies which he thought would benefit his stammering, to reduce his stammering. So maybe he kind of understood the strategies by himself, or he may have read them somewhere. Whatever means, those strategies he used it in his daily life. This is what we as speech and language therapists do as well, is help them learn strategies to reduce their stammering. So probably that could be the cause. The other cause could be that we also know that stammering can be maintained, or it can sometimes trigger in stressful situations. So people who stammer will find themselves stammering more towards the end of the day, towards the end of a long week. If they are in an anxious environment, if they're in an environment which is stressful, which is giving them anxiety, in those conditions, stammering can increase. So yeah, it would be interesting to know how your cousin actually outgrew his stammering with time, and I'm really glad that he did, and I really hope that he continues to improve.
We've got Paul Mehta. He says, how soon do you start seeing results? So there's a time frame. I'm sure you would know better about it.
For children, it's quicker, because for a child, they've not had a behavior for long enough. So for children, it's quicker. We see quick results. For adults, it can take some time. It can be a slow process. Also, it depends on a lot of other factors which are maintaining the stammering. So yeah, again, it will vary from person to person. But I've seen clients who've actually given me the feedback that they've seen themselves improving from right from the first week onwards.
Right. Kavita also thinks that what she says about her cousin is that when he speaks faster, or he spoke faster, he stammered more. When he spoke slow, it was better, and he has no anxiety. He's all good. So
yeah,
this is what she
it's very
says.
common. Kavita, it's absolutely very common for people who stammer that they talk really fast as well. And one of the strategies which we teach them is how to slow down their speech.
I just wanted to know, have you ever dealt with any challenging situation which dwelled into your mind for a long time? And if you want to talk about any painful incident, I would not insist if you don't want to, but if you feel it would help someone in knowing things or coping mechanism, then please share.
I mean, yes, there have been many challenging situations in my life. And if I start talking about them, I mean, I'll never end, Shivani. But yeah, I would probably like to talk about one incident, which, although it has, it has been very traumatic for me, at the same time, it was very therapeutic and healing. And it was a pivotal incident in my life which turned around my thinking. So I was very young and I had just started to volunteer in Delhi in Spastic Society of Northern India. It's a special school for children with neurological conditions, and I was a volunteer there. So now it's been renamed as Adi. So it was my first day as a volunteer, and I went in and I was led to a room where children were painting. And I was a volunteer to assist in the children in that activity. So I entered the room and was led to a boy. I could not believe my eyes what I was seeing. So this boy was in a wheelchair. He was painting with his paintbrush attached to a headgear on his head, around his head. So he was literally painting by moving his head, and every stroke he made, he was gleaming with joy. He was severely impaired, severely physically impaired, and later on, I came to know that he had cerebral palsy with severe spasticity. So he was wheelchair bound. He could not use his upper limbs or lower limbs functionally, and neither could he speak clearly. So I stood there looking at this boy, and before I had never ever seen anyone in my life with such physical impairments in a wheelchair. Uh, at best, I had seen patients in a wheelchair in hospitals. So as I watched him, a feeling of shame overcame me, shame and embarrassment on my own self, forever feeling inadequate, forever feeling conscious of my appearance, of my looks, despite having a totally functioning body. I felt so ashamed that I never valued the gift of having an intact, functional body. And at the same time, I was feeling awe and respect for this boy's spirit. So, I mean, he was not looking at what he can't do. He was focusing on what he could do, and he was focusing on his strengths. And that experience for me was very therapeutic. It was almost like in about 5 or 10 minutes of seeing this boy. Um, I was there for an hour, but the first 5 or 10 minutes, it kind of healed me. It was one of the most therapeutic experiences of my life. And after which, I never complained about my appearance, looks, or anything about my physical body. And you know, Shivani, I
Yes.
see, I see people body shaming their own selves. We body shame our own selves. We don't have to look at others body shaming ourselves, but we do it to our own selves, isn't it? We are not happy with what we
Absolutely.
have. We are not happy with what we have. We do not make the most of what we have. We do not acknowledge the
Very
the universe has given us. So that to me was a big learning,
turning point. Yeah.
and the crimes we commit against our own selves, and in the process we commit the crime against nature and the universe by not acknowledging the gifts around us and within us actually. So
That's why I always say one should value what they have,
yeah,
because I think we are so fortunate that we have been blessed. I don't think money gives you everything. It
no,
is just if your health is wealth. That's exactly, we always say that. Um, Suresh Menon, he says that how music can help. He wants you to sing one song as well, Shonali.
I I'm sorry, I am not a good singer. That is one thing I wished I had, was a good voice, which I don't have. I don't have a singing voice. Shibani is a better. I mean, Shibani is a singer. I know, Shibani, you're absolutely
I-
fantastic.
I'm the host here. I'm not supposed to answer your questions.
I can.
So my singing will happen some other day, but he thinks that all Bengalis are singers, so how come you don't sing?
I do agree, Sureshji, that all Bengalis, most Bengalis are beautiful singers, and I wish, as a Bengali, somebody had given me this gift. Because I would love to sing if I had the voice.
But I'm going to disclose something to them that you do as a Bengali. You have some other talent, and this is what we are going to talk about, your multifaceted talent and multi-talented woman that you are. Tell me a bit about your classical dancing journey. Can you talk something about it, please?
Well, I would like to clarify here that I'm not an established classical dancer. I'm not an established classical dancer yet. I'm training to be a classical dancer, and I've been training for the past 6 years or so, on and off. But all my life, right from childhood, I've done the Tagore dance form. So I've taken part in dance dramas, solo dances, group dance, name it. And my first guru was my mom. I learned my dance from her. She used to be a Kathak dancer herself and kind of gave it up after she got married. But she continued teaching dance to children. In UK, I have performed in the Tagore dance style in multiple places, particularly in Leicester and Birmingham. Then, when I moved to Northampton, I opened a Bollywood dance school for children, which went on for about 3 years. And children from various backgrounds learned from my dance school. I also taught children of the white British origin, and the children performed on stage. I hosted shows, and Shivani, I think you remember attending one of
I did.
dance
I did.
programs. And so yeah, and along with that, I started learning Kathak formally in UK. So initially, I trained under Srimati Nilamadi, my dance guru from Leicester. She's a well-acclaimed dancer in the field and also a recipient of the OBE. Now I'm training from Srimati Dutta, my dance guru. So yeah, dancing is in my blood. For me, dance fills up the gaps between words. It gives silence a form. It gives music a form. It gives rhythm a form, and also gives the thoughts and feelings a form.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Suresh Menon, I'm hoping your questions answered. We Bengalis do have some creativity, and Shonali's one of the creativity she has is dance. And Akanksha, you can always learn dance at any age. There is no barrier. Music, dance age is only a number. That's what they say. Kavita says, excellent. Thank you for answering all her questions. Thank you,
Myself.
Kavita, for putting those questions. And I also want to say, Shonali, a bit about your. We know that you write poetries, and you wrote very touchy poem for your mom on her birthday. I read it on Facebook. Can we have the privilege to listen to one of them, please?
Yes, of course, Shivani. It will be my honor to read a poem for you and for the viewers. Poetry is definitely one of my passions. I could write poetry all day, the whole year after year. Poetry kind of connects to my soul, and what I feel deeply comes out through poetry. So, poetry to me is an expression of raw, honest emotions, which comes from a very deep space. So, yes, I would definitely love to read the poem which I wrote for my mother very recently. Her birthday was this month, and I wrote this for her. So it goes like this. Ma, a girl with dreams in her eyes, gungroos on her ankles, music in her veins, and simplicity in her heart. Complexities of life baffle her. Candid is her way to be. She knows not how to hide. What she is to the world, the same she holds inside. Navigating her is easy. She's transparent as one can be. Her honesty can be hard to handle sometimes. That's Ma for you and me. She's a woman in her own right, bright as the light of spring. Flowers of all kinds and nature beckons to her to spread her soul's wings. She dances to the sway of the breeze with a pure jest and merriment. She likes to be away from the tremors of mundane life. She's simple, intuitive, and free. She is a creative soul who planted the creative energy in me. As a little girl, I would get hypnotized by Ma's dance, playfulness, and grace. She inspired many to dance with unbounded energy. I learnt my first dance steps from Ma. My dance guru is she. Her long dark braided hair, swinging from side to side as she walked, anchored my little self to safety in the big unknown world. Ma's sparkling dark eyes held the secrets of the celestial lights. She created magic at whatever she did. The amazing food she cooked with care, a sense of beauty, taste in clothes, her style and flair. Ma's beauty and magical aura totally bewitched the little girl in me. With her soulmate Baba, she created a life, a house of wonder and laughter. So many lives were embraced in that space, for she believed what her dad, my Dadu, told her. Be a beacon of light wherever you go, he said, and she carried that light within her. Many a times we went our own ways. She's opinionated and strong-headed. I'm her daughter, so how can I also not be? Behind her rose, I see the woman in Ma, who loves to tend to her garden. That's her lifeline and pleasure. Songs of the birds, fragrance of the flowers, the romance of the leaves in the moonlit night thrill and excite her. I met that girl in Ma, immersed in the little joys of life, when she played with the little me, with dolls she made out of the river clay. I see the girl in Ma, who breezed through the hills and meadows, who swam in rivers, rolled amidst wild daisies and fireflies. She's that girl with a colorful spirit and dreams in her eyes. Thank you.
Speechless. I'm speechless. How touchy and how beautiful, emotional. Everybody is sending you messages that they love that poem. Krishna says you made them emotional as well. I mean, I honestly have no words for you. Kavita wants to, on a serious note, wants to know that how can she contact you for a therapy session?
I would say if you contact Shibani and Shibani can send you my details. Shibani, would that be okay?
Yeah, we'll do it through Brijvaani and we'll send you your contacts and in whichever way, your email or your contact number, now that you've given us the permission to do so. That's so nice, actually. Yeah, suddenly we all are emotional at the moment. Kavita also loves your poem, loved it. You're amazing. She wants to give you a big hug. Kavita, a virtual hug. I'm sending it to Shonali on your behalf.
Thank you. Thank you. And big hug to you as well.
So the time when I felt low, Kavita, this is with me. I've experienced this whenever I was low and felt my life was collapsing. I always had Shonali to motivate me. She would hold my hand and she took me along with her in her spiritual journey. And that was her spiritual journey, and I followed her. Shonali, how do you manage to motivate people who are gloomy and they do not find life worth living, especially in this COVID time?
Shivani, if my journey enriches your journey and your journey enriches my journey, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? I like sharing things with others which motivate me, which benefits me, which empowers me. So I generally don't keep things to myself. because I feel if I've learned something and it's benefited me, and if I share, that somebody else benefits from it too. And it's nothing better than that. So when we share our own learnings with others in a way, it consolidates our learning too. So I read somewhere, actually, I know where I read it. It was by a book by Neil Donald Walsh called Conversations with God. And he wrote that we teach what we have to learn. So throughout my life, I've actually experienced that and found it to be true. So life is always, for me, it's been an exploration of a search for a deeper meaning, a journey where I wanted to stretch my limits, not only to the physical, not only my physical limits, but also the limits of my soul, my understanding, my experiences about life. And so it was essentially a quest to know my own self, bit by bit peeling off the layers to reach my core. Uh, a lot of people actually helped me in my journey. Many spiritualists, authors, philosophers whose books I read helped me immensely in my journey. Be it Gibran's poetry or Rumi's poetry, Neil Donald Walsh's books, Richard Bach, Ayn Rand, Scott Peck, Brian Weiss, Anita Murjani, Sadhguru, Osho, Bhagavad Gita. I mean, so many writers. Also writers like Jhumpa Lahiri, Richard Dawkins, and many, many more. I love reading, and especially books by these authors I mentioned. They have actually enriched me and empowered me a lot. So my journey is all about the journey to the self, taking pride in the roots, my own roots, my culture, my tradition, but at the same time celebrating everything else which is around me.
Shonali, I must tell my viewers that you were the one who introduced. I used to read a lot of fiction, a different category of books. And when I met you and saw your collection of books, you introduced me to spiritual world, as I'd said before. And I started reading. My first book was Anita Murjani's book on her afterlife death experience. It really took me back. And at the moment, as you said, conversation with God has transformed my life too. And I know when we sit and we discuss, most of our conversation is about spiritual life. And I think you evolve, and at this time of the year, when things are not right with people, I think we both are trying to spread positivity, and I'm trying to spread positivity with the help of Brijvaani in whichever way I can. And you coming here and you're spreading this out, you're spreading your information, because I can see Kavita is so thrilled that she wants to take you along with her. And she just wants to, because you were holding my hand in the journey, and she wants you. She said, I want her. She wants you to lead that path. And there is Suresh who says he loves this conversation. He's saying it's very informative during this pandemic. He says, Brijvani, we need more such kind of shows during this pandemic. Yes, Suresh, most of my shows are out of the box. It is Khatti, meethi, Baate. We will have some good, hilarious things. We'll be emotional. We get serious. We'll be informative, and all sorts of things. He's got something to ask you. I think he's thinking, and I think too. You wake up in the morning, you do your yoga, you have a routine of your life which you've never gone away from it. And he says, how do you keep yourself fit?
How do I keep myself fit? Yes, like Shibani mentioned, I like doing yoga. I've been doing yoga not so systematically, but in my own way, very regularly. I go out for walks, sometimes for run. I'm not an avid runner, but sometimes when there's a nice weather, when the weather is good, I do go out for a run. I do take care of my diet, but not too strictly. I'm not a diet fan. So I love my food. I love my traditional food. I love food of all kinds. But yes, I eat to moderation. And yeah, that's how.
Mohan, you love my smile. You also said that we both girls are gorgeous and yoga se hoga. Yeah, Suresh. Thank you. True. Um, so, Shonali, you really have so much to offer to the world. I'm sure you will continue helping children and every individual come your way. And obviously, I'm going to share your number with people who want to know more about it. We had such a beautiful conversation, Shonali, and I think my audience found it very informative, helpful. And I think any people who go through the same problem would relate to it much better. It was really a privilege having you. Would you like to say something before you go from here?
Um, yes, when I was working in a mental health hospital, I was treating a patient, and in one of the sessions, she told me something which I will never forget. She was very good at horse riding, and I had never done horse riding in my life. So I asked her, as a matter of conversation, I asked her, what advice would you give me for me to learn horse riding? And then she told me that I can give you as much advice as you want, but everyone finds their own way. So before I part, I would like to uh, share with the viewers the message which I give to my own self is that experience life as it comes, be in the flow, develop a deep connection with nature, and learn from it. Nature has so much to teach us that if we open up enough and if we are able to receive it, we can receive a lot. And in my moments of lows, I've always turned to nature because not always can we have friends and family around us to support us. So who do we turn to? For me, it's always been nature when I've been in a dilemma or at crossroads or faced with tough decisions. I've always turned to nature and inwards for answers, and actually, it's never let me down. So, yeah, that would be my parting message. And also, I would like to, for all the children out there, I would like to give this message that to the parents that please allow flexibility and adaptability in your lives. I know routine and structure is very important, um, uh, but at the same time, we have to incorporate some degree of adaptability and flexibility in our lives so that when we are faced with changing situations, we are not thrown off track. So, with that, Shivani, um, I would like to say a very big thank you and to you and to our wonderful viewers for making it so lively for us.
Shonali, there was something else I wanted you to do. I just remembered. I can't let you go because I know you are so emotional about the situation around what's happening. And during the pandemic, you wrote a poem during the lockdown. Do you still have it with you, which my audience can listen to, or
Yes,
I know we should?
I will fish it out for you.
Thank
Let
you.
me just give me a few more.
Yeah, I'll just read. Brijvaani says, thank you to everyone. Please share and support this work by subscribing and then on YouTube and following this page. Please, everyone, your support is very important. Kavita says, excellent show. Good job. Very informative. Thank you, Kavita, for supporting and listening to us. Suresh, you loved it. We love you. We love you watching us. And Kavita also says, beautiful message. Thank you, Kavita. We just wait for Shonali to put on, recite her poem for us. Are you ready, Shonali?
I could not get the exact. It's not on my system now, but I have
Yeah,
another poem which I can read out to you,
please. Thank you.
which is about the pandemic.
Yes.
Uh, but I wrote this at the end of 2020, and welcoming 2021. So it was in the new year that I wrote. So if you wish, I can read that out to you.
Yes, please.
Okay. It's called The Other Side of 2020. A year when our children knew life differently. We etched in their memory. Perhaps without the pandemic, a taste of life we would not have known. As parents, we tried our best to foster a spirit of trust, faith, and strength, to counter the air of fear and uncertainty. We made efforts to help them see the silver lining in the darkest of clouds, to transform the lockdown into a time to heal the unseen wounds, to cherish the flexibility and the slow pace of living life beyond the normal race, going back to the basics and simplicity, plain home cooked meals, shopping for bare necessities. Less is more was on full score. No alarms to jolt us up, savoring no rush breakfasts, the joy of changing into PJs after the morning shower, basking in the sun during the lunch hour, laughing out loud way past the bedtime with vigor, the sun soaked energy still steady in its power. No frantic rush to book and plan holidays, sitting back to watch old movies together instead. Away from peer pressure, competition, and the chase, away from hushed constructs, into the safety of nature and open space. Meeting friends and family, yes, on screen, but like never before we have seen or been. Choosing connection over triviality, compassion over pettiness, love over fear. Picking new possibilities which were lost in time. Taking care of ourselves, we learned, is not a crime. The valor of the frontline crew knew no bounds. They became family for those fighting for life, clapping for the NHS and painted rainbows we held. Little gestures to thank the caring hands which toiled. As we hurt from losing loved ones, missed our life we once had, and wondered what more could unfold, we sank into what matters most. These were moments so precious to be etched in their memory and ours. The earth breathed, we breathed. We may have, after all, taken a few steps to heal the unseen wounds. Thank you, Shivani.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. Paul says it's a very good show. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for supporting and watching. Shonali, it was really a pleasure to have you and hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivani. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for watching my show, Khatti Meethi Baate with Shibani. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on Facebook. We are also on Twitter. Please support Brijvaani. And every Saturday, 4 onwards, we will try and bring more unsung heroes, more people who have unique characteristics in the field of art, music, lawyers, doctors. Please pass your comments. Please write on the messages. Whom would you like to see more on our show? Your comments will be taken on board and we will try and work more on it. Thank you very much till then. All of you, namaskar and goodbye.